March 31, 2023. Okie. I feel as though I owe an explanation justifying last night's post about being at the bank today. I received word from 3 of the big 4 banks that they had just received the rate as being live and active and that they would be expecting a cash in today. Imho, and our sources say this cannot go past today, March 31st due to many circumstances. The end of THE1ST quarter books is March 31st. I am on phone with Big 4 bank representative. All front teller screen rates are stable. Back screens are live with other rates. Do not call banks please. As of 1:15 p.m. CST today, the front screens are stable with same approx rates as yesterday. Back screens have occasional different rate changes, which have absolutely no current bearing on any RV rate changes that might be forthcoming. USD playing card games with system. This is not the bank's fault. Front screens say regular rates. Bank screens are hot with other rates. Those back screen rates can be changed easily. Frank 26. This is the last week of this month. The month where they're educating them. I strongly believe next month they're going to start to show them. I know you're excited, but I'm more excited about what I haven't answered yet. Here are 3 clues that this 20K is a bunch of nonsense. 1. They told the citizens they're going to introduce new lower small category notes. 2. They told the citizens they're going to give them coins when they introduce the new small category notes. 3. They're going to float. These 3 things have been told to the citizens of Iraq, so why bother with the 20K notes? Iraq Boots on the Ground report, Firefly. The IMF is doing interviews on the news on our Iraqi Channel 1. They're saying they are backing the 2023 budget, and the president of Iraq is saying how Iraq needs to push and approve the oil and gas law as soon as possible because it's ready. A lot of news is popping all over the place. Frank, like we told you this last week would be explosive because of the media campaign that they are doing. Now with the monetary reform at the beginning of next month it will really be loud. Claire. Member of Parliamentary Finance. The stability of the dollar exchange depends on the government's control of the market. Quote, the dollar began to decline continuously against the dinar as a result of these packages that met most of the Iraqi market's requests, noting that this contributed to reducing the difference between the official and parallel exchange rate, pointing out that most markets began dealing in the Iraqi dinar, and this will contribute to its support. MNT Goat. Article, the federal oil and gas law will be agreed upon soon. Quote, there is an agreement between Baghdad and Erbil to enact the federal oil and gas law soon. Militia man. What they're trying to do is adjust the official rate to the parallel market rate. They are at an official rate of 1,310, but the parallel market isn't quite the same. We'll have to see how they roll, whether that's at 1,570 or 1,132 to be determined. There are articles out that suggest they were going to go to 1,132, but it's not official yet. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out. Bruce. Via Wiser now. I'm looking forward to the end of it as much as you are, but we'll see where it goes for the rest of the week. We should have a very interesting April Fool's Day, coming up Saturday. So we'll see what that looks like for us. Walking Stick and Frank 26. The time, effort, logistics, cost of doing such a massive printing, of 20K notes, just before they're ready to give them what they've been talking about is the reason why not to print the 20K. It is only logical that it might be used for internal usage than anything else. Goldilocks. Thursday evening National Quantum Initiative Act and more March 31, 2023 Goldilocks and Seeds of Wisdom. Thank you RJ. Good evening Dinar recaps. Goldilocks posted good news, commentaries, and links. Iraq and the International Monetary Fund discuss cooperation in stabilizing the Iraqi economy. How do you stabilize a country's economy? Through currencies? There are several ways to stabilize a country's economy through currencies: implementing floating exchange rates, moving away from programmed rates, monetary policies that allow for trading with the market, government policies to attract foreign investment, and the country purchases its own currency. Judy Byington News, Rumors, and Opinions. Note, all intel should be considered as rumors until we receive official announcements, and rates and dates could change anytime until we get to the banks/redemption centers. RV excerpts from the Restored Republic via GCR as of Thursday, March 30, 2023, compiled by Judy Byington. Judy note, with the Iraqi dinar revalued in country and the global currency reset now officially in play, with Tier 4B, us, the Internet Group, notification to set appointments at any time coupled with an apparent 1st of April new beginnings deadline for the planet, we also appear to be weeks, days, or perhaps hours away from a global financial collapse. Global currency reset. Wednesday, 29th of March. Email from Administrator Bill Clark. We have finally arrived. The RV officially got started on Saturday, March 25, 2023. What has happened is the dinar opened on Forex in the high 40 cents and the low 50 cents and then disappeared. What is happening now is the large speculators now trying to obtain large blocks of currency, which they are not able to obtain. What we are hearing is the dinar, dong and zim are going at the same time. This is gaining a lot of traction and should be in full exchange over the next 3 days. There is also an understanding that we should in full exchange mode before the 1st and 2nd of April. Also during the same dates GESARA is to start. I was told that everything is crazy as they are rushing around to get this done and all the speculators are trying to get on top of the game. I believe we are in 24 to 48 time period, but we should have our time slots at any time. It is really exciting. We are at the exchange time and we need to happy and thankful we are here at this point. Hallelujah. If that time was Iraq Friday midnight 42 hours from now. Thursday 30th of March marks, a number of sources were saying that April 1st to 3rd is a go. Redemption Center personnel were expecting to work this weekend. Iraqi news. Friday morning Iraq economic news highlights March 31, 2023. The central bank announces liberating the dollar from restrictions. The difference between the official and parallel rates will disappear. Baghdad, IQ Deputy Governor of the Central Bank Amar Hamad said, on Thursday, that the difference between the official exchange rate of the dollar against the dinar, and the parallel rate in the markets will gradually disappear. Hamad said, in statements to state television, followed by IQ News, that the central bank has liberated restrictions on sales, and it can sell any amount of dollars as long as there is a real demand for it. The difference between the official and parallel exchange rates for the dollar will gradually disappear, he added. And the deputy governor of the central bank continued that the number of governmental and private banks exceeds 70 banks, and the central bank is very good at sorting out good and not so good banks. The Central Bank of Iraq identified the reasons for the gradual decline in the dollar exchange rate recently, while noting that the difference between the official and parallel exchange rates will gradually disappear. The deputy governor of the central bank, Amar Hamad Khalaf, said, the central bank has taken several measures to reduce the price of the dollar, especially through the 3 packages that it launched at the beginning of this year, which were sufficient to address the high exchange rate in the parallel market. He added, the bank met with the Federation of Iraqi Chambers of Commerce and a number of merchants to discuss the challenges and put in place mechanisms to address them, suggesting that new packages would be issued to address all the challenges facing merchants to facilitate their access to foreign currencies. He explained behind the gradual decline in the price of the dollar in the past 2 days to the increase in the volume of sales of the central bank, noting that the bank liberated restrictions on sales, and the bank can sell any amount of dollars as long as there is a real demand for the dollar, explaining that the difference between my price, the official and parallel exchange, will gradually disappear. He pointed out, Iraq does not need to establish new banks at the present time or in the future, but rather activate the existing banks, pointing to the presence of more than 70 governmental and private banks, noting that the central bank is serious about sorting good banks from not so good. He pointed out that there was a great response by banks to the instructions of the central bank regarding the official exchange rate, calling at the same time to facilitate the procedures for merchants' transactions quickly. Al-Azm calls on the Presidency of Parliament to expedite the transfer of the budget to the Finance Committee. Policy vertical bar today, 1:22 Baghdad today, Baghdad on Friday. The Azm Alliance called on the First Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives to expedite the transfer of the budget from the Presidency of Parliament to the Finance Committee in the House. Lincoln American Perception. The budget agreement is invalid after 2023, and the solution is to establish SCOMO. Shafak News / an American report identified the issues that still need negotiations and settlement between the Kurdistan region and the federal government in Baghdad, Regarding the 2023 budget, considering that the government's approval of the current draft budget does not definitively answer many questions. After a year-long process full of bickering to form the government after the 2021 parliamentary elections, the country remained without a budget in 2022, and expenditures were limited to paying salaries and pensions. A report by the American Washington Institute for Research, translated by Shafaq News Agency, stated that during the past years, debates over allocations and deductions were mixed with broader questions related to the principle of federalism. Does the region have the legal authority to explore foreign market oil? And what should be the per capita share of non-sovereign spending in the absence of an official population census? What percentage of the budget should be allocated to non-sovereign expenditures? And the American report considered, each faction of Iraq has its own and strong motives to pass the current year's budget as soon as possible, noting that investments are still frozen at a time when oil prices are high, and federal reserves have accumulated to currently record a huge level of $115 billion. Given that the 2022 budget was not approved. Baghdad pragmatism. The report stated, all factions are now eager to benefit from the resulting budget, which will be larger than usual, and which is expected to include $152 billion in spending, or a full 50% of the 2021 budget. Therefore, allocating a share for the Kurds is within everyone's reach. And the KRI's spending needs can be met, albeit barely, without focusing on other beneficiaries. The report pointed out that there are issues that still require negotiation, and in practice, many decisions must still be taken, as one of the most important outstanding issues is the marketing of the quantities of oil produced by the region, amounting to 400,000 barrels per day, and the method of managing the revenues generated. He believed that Baghdad had, in the past, drawn up overly complex schemes for the region to force it to hand over all or part of its oil exports to the federal authorities in the port of Ceyhan on the Turkish coast, where the pipeline route between Iraq and Turkey ends. And the American report pointed out, this time it seems that Baghdad will suffice with adopting a more pragmatic approach, as according to the provisions of the current budget draft, the region will market its oil and deposit the revenues in a bank account that federal officials can monitor, and after that, Baghdad will deduct that amount from its monthly allocations to the region, with the transfer of any surplus funds owed to the Kurds. However, the effect of this arrangement will be valid for only 1 year, and perhaps only half a year in practice, given that finalizing the budget may take a few more months, and therefore a more sustainable system cannot be imposed before Iraq passes a federal oil and gas law, and perhaps a law sharing revenues as well, according to the American report. Oil deal. The report believes that only through a legal settlement at this level may be sufficient to reconsider the decision of the Federal Supreme Court issued in February 2022, which ruled the unconstitutionality of the region's oil exports. Otherwise, the oil and gas law approved by the regional government in 2007 and related investment contracts will remain unconstitutional. Legitimacy. In addition, the report considered that Baghdad, the regional government and other oil-producing provinces must agree on a few other matters if they hope to facilitate further progress on these issues after the 2023 budget agreement, including sharing revenues according to a fixed equation. Founding of SCOMO. In addition to determining the region's per capita share of non-sovereign expenditures, Baghdad must resolve the controversy over sovereign and non-sovereign expenditures, and therefore it must determine the size of the candy cake from which the region will receive a piece, according to the Washington Institute report. The American report believed that this measure must be taken so that a similar agreement does not arouse resentment among non-Kurdish voter bases. It is better for the government to include compensatory incentives in the projects of the Executive Ministry in oil-rich southern Iraq for the years 2023 and 2024. The Washington Institute urged, according to its report, to introduce gradual changes to oil marketing, adding, the region must market its oil to pay off debts owed to merchants amounting to $3.5 billion, as it seems that Baghdad is unwilling to bear these arrears. He stated, after paying off these debts, it is possible to reach an arrangement for joint oil marketing, similar to the implementation of the proposal that is repeatedly put forward regarding the establishment of the Iraqi and Kurdish Oil Marketing Company, SCOMO. The American report warned that any change in international contracts, almost all of which are codified in the English law for arbitration in foreign courts, may lead to many lawsuits that would harm Iraq's level of friendship with investors. Therefore, the report stressed the need for any new oil and gas law to exclude the provisions of the current contract signed under the Kurdistan Oil and Gas Law of 2007. He added, if the proposed Kurdish Regional Oil Company is established as a joint venture between the federal and Kurdish ministries of oil, it should be given full local authority to approve annual plans and budgets for field development. Kurdistan reforms. In addition, the American report stressed the need to undertake economic reforms in the region. Despite the large share allocated to Kurdistan from the huge national budget, the region will hardly be able to establish a balance in its regional budget for this year. And he believed that the situation is likely to be better in the coming years, so the regional government should prepare by carrying out economic reforms such as reducing subsidies, increasing efficiencies, and transferring public sector employees to the private sector. On the political level, the report said, the credit goes to international actors, led by the United States, for resolving the issue after urging the main parties in the Kurdistan region to show greater flexibility on local Kurdish issues and greater unity in their dealings with Baghdad. The American Institute concluded the report by stressing the need to continue these efforts with the same intensity until the oil and gas law is ratified. Inaction now may quickly lead to a renewal of the dispute between the Kurds, which may eliminate the possibility of signing a historic agreement. Translation: Shafaq News Agency link Parliamentary Committee, obstructing the approval of the budget completely paralyzes the economic sectors in the country. Political. Baghdad, Mawazin News, a member of the Parliamentary Oil, Gas, and Natural Resources Committee, Zainab al-Musawi, called on the presidency of the House of Representatives to include the budget law for the year 2023 on the agenda in the upcoming sessions. Al-Musawi said, in an interview reported by her media, that disrupting the approval of the federal financial budget for the year 2023 completely paralyzes the economic sectors in the country, in addition to the direct and broad impact on the lives of citizens, in light of the dependence of thousands of workers on investment projects related to the budget. Al-Musawi called for the need to include the financial budget law for the year 2023 on the agenda of the House of Representatives for the upcoming sessions, in order to approve it. Al-Musawi indicated, the financial budget represents the main tool for achieving the state's general policies, whether economic, social or service, and it is a presentation of the government's plans and annual programs that it prepares in response to challenges. The dollar is heading to record the second quarterly loss in a row. Economic, Al-Furat News, the dollar is heading towards recording the second quarterly loss in a row, today, Friday, while investors believe that U.S. interest rates are close to their peak. It seems that the modest support resulting from the demand for safe havens in mid-March is about to expire, after concerns about the banking sector rocked global markets. The dollar index fell 1.3% during the first quarter of the year, while the euro rose 0.5% overnight after data on inflation in Germany reinforced expectations of further rate hikes in the eurozone.